Okay, hello, greetings and welcome everybody. So in this video we're going to look at how to speed up progress reach a higher level much more quickly, but basically ignore most of the fundamental Hermetic skills. Now, a lot of people will spend a lot of time developing clairvoyance, developing various forms of intuition, healing powers, magnetic fluids, and a whole range of other skills. Now, these are very important for bringing things into form, but they're not super important for bringing your awareness out of form, for ascension. And so let me go into this process. If you want to get access to non-dual light, enter into the Brotherhood of Light, the fastest way to do this is by developing a sensitivity to energy and using that as your sensory vehicle for ascension. Okay, so how do we do this? My favorite method is building the ball, whole body pore breathing, feeling vital energy, and then feel vital energy as a vital body, go into a place of power like a powerful forest, feel vital energy as a field, and then from that level of awareness, just simply soften the mind into that field to recognize the mind substance of the field. So we go from body, field, mind. And we repeat this process over and over through each astral level. When you do the 4-cycle breath, where you draw vital energy in, you pause the breath, you enter into stillness. Then as you tune the mind to stillness, you tune into the release of time, slowing everything down. And you move from that release of time and you saturate the life force to thicken and slow it. And what happens is, after a few cycles, you'll find yourself in the astral world. You find yourself in your astral body. And this happens relatively quickly. So you recognize you have an astral body. You recognize there is an astral field upon which that body is vibrating. And there's astral mind. There's a mind substance which identifies itself as the fabric of that field, as the universe is mind. And everything requires this to exist. And you just move up the vibrational scale, releasing time and slowing everything down, releasing space, letting go of your perceived boundaries of the energy layer bodies, and recognizing everything is mind substance. And you move up through the astral, you move up through the mental body, and you develop a sense of equanimity or stillness underneath each one of these layers. Every one of these exercises accumulates a type of neutralization of static in your field. You're essentially neutralizing those static energies so they cease to affect you. Now, the next aspect of this is, how do you balance the elements to get deeper equanimity? So we go through the element building exercises. We express the elements by increasing, decreasing the emotional qualities. You can go to the personality plus chart for this and look at the 20 positives and 20 negatives of each one of the elemental personality traits. Generate, release, generate, release. What this does is gives you a level of immunity or neutralization of the static of each one of those qualities. So this elemental type of practice, where you're manifesting various emotions and then releasing those emotions, gives you deeper equanimity, gives you access to deeper equanimity. Then you build each element up in each region of the body, meditate on equanimity of that particular element in that region of the body. So fire in the head, air in the chest, water in the water region, and then the earth in the legs. This generates a deep stillness. Then you just soften the mind into the solar plexus, enter into that still point, where the electric fluids above the solar plexus and the magnetic fluids below the solar plexus meet, is the stillest, quietest part of your body. This is where you have the largest amount of equanimity. This is where you have a doorway of stillness into the Akasha. Now, as you enter into the stillness and start collapsing your minds inward, you simply just need to make your mind smaller and smaller. So this mental flexibility exercise has already been developed through every exercise you've done. Your mental body is becoming more flexible. Now you just collapse inwards, smaller, 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 until you reach particle level. What do we know about particles? They're continually appearing and disappearing. So what will happen with your mind? It'll start recognizing Akasha. It goes, I'm in Akasha for half the time, I'm out of Akasha for half the time. And then you decide, do you want to pay more attention to the Akasha, or do you want to pay more attention to the form? And obviously, we're cultivating the stillness. We're most interested in accessing and developing Akasha, so we pay more attention to that substance. Now, we call it a substance because Akasha itself is empty, and initially the mind can't comprehend it. So what does the mind do? It relates to how the Akasha affects the environment and the consciousness and the space that you're in. And that's how we work with it. So you'll notice various conditions of your mind, your matrices, your energy field, your physical space change, and it gives a substance perception of what that change is, and that's the Akasha. Now, as you collapse your mind to this particle level and you pay more attention to the empty space rather than the form, what happens? You get a very, very distinct qualitative awareness of what Akasha is and how to start relating to it. Then you simply pour breathe that feeling. So we have this timeless quality to it, we have the spaceless quality to it. It simulates astral energy in a way because it can be substance-like. And there's an underlying infinity. Your astral body, the astral world, you have distinct boundaries to it. Akasha is infinite, it keeps going. So your mind's relationship to Akasha continues to change as you develop Akasha. Now when you pay attention to the infinity part of this, you drop into the stillness, you drop into that infinity, and time disappears, space disappears. Now this Akasha is our entry level. We start to recognize that the mind that's observing the Akasha starts to appear as light, because it's not subject to time, it's not subject to space. The observer itself is not subject to time, not subject to space, so it simply starts to recognize the light of its own nature. And as it does that, we pore breathe that in and out through the pores. So we go from Akasha pore breathing to light pore breathing. So we have levels of just simply paying attention, levels of identity, I am Akasha, levels of intent, very, very softly moving your mind like a feather, you breathe Akasha in and out through the pores. And this arises with observing the mind substance is light. This arises through Akasha. Then you recognize there's a field of light. You pore breathe light. You identify I am light. And you become accustomed to your light body. So we become familiar with our Akashic body. We have become familiar with our light body. And that light body vibrates within the Brotherhood of Light. Now, this is a half-truth, what I just said, that your light body vibrates within the Brotherhood of Light. And the reason why we call the Brotherhood of Light a type of group consciousness, we give it an identity, because it tends to favor what makes you spiritually evolve. It's like a laser pointing at Nibbana, and a laser pointing from Nibbana to the ground. So it brings things into form in such a way that the return path back to Nibbana is how to get there. So it's a Dharma teaching mechanism. It's a path purely developed and designed for ascension. Now, this ascension path is what we call the path of light. Some people call it the Dharma path. There will be many different names, but it's basically the process of ascension. Now, let's quick revision. Develop vital energy sensitivity, develop astral energy sensitivity, develop mental body sensitivity. Be aware of the layers of the energy bodies by just feeling them. You don't have to see, you don't have to hear, you don't have to communicate with any spirits. Practice the elements. Bring each element to equanimity in the 4 regions. Collapse your mind into the solar plexus. As you collapse your mind into the solar plexus, what happens? You sink your mind inwards, make it smaller and smaller and smaller. As you make your mind smaller and smaller and smaller, you're going to find that there'll be a point, you reach the particle level, and you find yourself infinity. And that infinity quality, you pore breathe that in and out to do Akashic pore breathing. This brings you into awareness of your Akashic body, your etheric body. And then you pay attention to the mind substance itself in the Akasha. It's light. This brings you into awareness of your light body, pure spirit, or monad, as some people will call it. Now, this process is very, very simple. It's not complicated. It just requires you to surrender to doing it. You decide, okay, I'm just going to do this. It doesn't take too long. You're cultivating light. Your mind starts to change. Your heart starts to change. And your actions start to change. They start shifting in accordance with the path of light. As you surrender to that path, you get more commitment to it, you become more serious about it, and you live through it. So once you're at that light level, what do you do with this? Well, you go back to the beginning of the initiation text. And through that light, you enter into prayer and you invoke the essence of mastery of each exercise. So as you invoke the mastery of mindfulness, observing the rising wave of thoughts, you fill yourself with the light of that frequency of mastery, then you express that light. And you practice. You do it in sitting, do it in day-to-day life, and you integrate it through your whole being. As you play with these frequencies of the initiation text and invoking it from light, you just systematically go through the whole text. And you build the critical mass of each exercise in the body consciousness, in the astral unconscious, in the spirit, and take it on as an identity. You'll find that as you do this, your thinking as a antenna that sends out information, attracts information, changes. Your feeling of the emotions you experience that you send out and the emotions you attract from people around you changes. You'll find that your sense of identity and purpose, as it comes into resonance with light, will change. So as this changes, you're going to find a profound sense of purpose in your existence. What is your life's purpose? It simply arises. Why are you here? You get insight and understanding into that. What are you meant to be doing with your life? You get insight and understanding about that. And what is the ascension pathway? What's your service path? All that starts to make sense. There's a sense of obviousness which arises within this. And that obviousness is found within your spirit, within that light. Now, before you incarnated in this life, you already knew this. You already had an understanding of, this is what I have to do in this next incarnation. You chose it. You made a choice. You came into your mother's womb, you're reborn, and your spirit remembers this. Because the astral body contains our memories, you can only access the memories of spirit through Akasha. You can't access them just through normal awareness. You can't access them through normal astral feelings and processes. You can only access spiritual memory through Akasha, because it's stored in the Akasha of your spirit. So as we go through this process of unlocking our purpose, unlocking why we're here, what our existence is for, we start getting a profound sense of drive to follow your destiny. And as you follow that destiny or fate, you get a feedback loop in your spirit of a synchronicity with a type of joy. Finally, I'm on the right track. I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. This is why I was born. This is it. Okay, so you're manifesting light through each of the exercises. You've personified each exercise to fit more into your life's purpose and your path. You've individualized it. And as you individualize it, you find yourself in a state of beautiful state of functional integration of all the exercises into your life. So you find each exercise just has its own purpose, has its own place, and you're really comfortable. Like, yeah, this is working for me. I know what I'm doing. I can make this. I can make this happen. Now, the intuition that arises out of your light body knows everything about your life's purpose, knows everything about how to practice, has all the intuitive insights. And this light body is what I go into to make these videos. I just connect into spirit, I open up the library, then I become sensitive to the need of the people who are going to listen to these videos, and then I stream that information from that library through into the video, into the audio, into the doorway for that person to get access to. And that's all I'm doing. So I've basically defined exactly how I've developed the skills and insights that I have, all on this one video. It's a very simple process. Now, some people have different types of have different types of ease with which they can perform different skills, and we'll look at why some people are good at some things and not so good at others, and do a separate video on that. Okay, thank you for your time, everyone, and we'll see you on the next video.